Hello, my name is Vasilije Mesarović, and I will be giving a critique of Neo-Malthusianism from an intersectional feminist perspective as part of the gender studies course at the University of Belgrade. Thomas Malthus was one of the founding fathers of what we now call population policy. His theory, which warns that the exponential growth of population is doomed to overtake the linear growth of the amount of food, was highly influential, both among his contemporaries and among many politicians and theoreticians in the centuries since. Classical Malthusianism has largely been debunked. Its critiques are many and fairly obvious. It neglects the impact of technological advances, it makes classist assumptions about the morality of the poor, and it rejects contraception for ideological and religious reasons rather than scientific ones. Even Malthus himself admitted towards the end of his life that his predictions had simply proven to be wrong. That's why I won't be criticizing classical Malthusianism today, but rather its more modern counterpart, Neo-Malthusianism, and the population policies it inspires even today. But first we must answer the question, what is Neo-Malthusianism? It is an ideology that became popular during the 20th century and continues to hold sway today, which places the blame for various societal problems either partially or entirely on uncontrolled population growth, usually in so-called third world countries. For example, a Neo-Malthusian might say that global warming is only a problem because of how many people there are, or that starvation and poverty in Africa or India might be solved if only the people there had fewer children. Other problems Neo-Malthusians blame overpopulation for include war, terrorism, migration, crime, pollution, and unemployment. This has led to population policies in those countries that range from the benign or even helpful, such as education programs about contraception or the promotion of abortion rights, to the truly sinister, such as eugenics and the mass forced sterilization of entire segments of the population on a class or ethnic basis. All of these solutions are based on fundamental misunderstandings of causality. People aren't poor because they have too many children. In fact, they often have more children because they are poor. When left with no other way to feel accomplished in life, since wealth and professional achievement are beyond their reach, people often turn to having children as a source of meaning. So, ironically, while population control cannot end poverty, ending poverty might be a somewhat valid method of population control. A key characteristic of Neo-Malthusianism is that it is always focused on the disenfranchised, those living in the poorest nations or the poorest citizens of wealthier nations. This allows the wealthy to blame such people for their own hardship and avoid any responsibility for their plight. Of course, the real situation is very different. The causes of poverty are often institutional, not individual, as evidenced by the severe wealth gap between the world's poorest and wealthiest nations and individuals. For example, it was recently determined that the world's 6 wealthiest individuals have as much wealth as the world's poorest 50% of individuals. In this way, Neo-Malthusianism serves to cover up structural inequalities, those inherent to capitalism, those caused by the legacy of colonialism, for example in Africa and India, those resulting from modern-day imperialism, for example in the Middle East, etc. The guilt borne by those responsible for these problems is easily alleviated by simply blaming the victims. This is why Neo-Malthusian ideas are most often championed by the wealthy and powerful, such as first world governments and international organizations. It is important to note, however, that wealth disparity is not the only factor at play here. Not all poor people are treated equally by Neo-Malthusianism, and there is a strong racial, ethnic, and gender element to many population policies. In India, for example, Neo-Malthusianism plays a role in anti-Muslim bigotry, with Muslims represented as a threat because of their population growth. Neo-Malthusianism also disproportionately targets women by both blaming them and their fertility for everything from terrorism to pollution, and trying to control that fertility. In this way, Neo-Malthusianism reduces women to their bodies and reproductive functions, just as much as religious fundamentalism often does. This is relevant because historically many first-world liberal feminists have supported distinctly Neo-Malthusian ideas in third-world countries, despite criticizing religious fundamentalism for the same things. In conclusion, I think it would not be wrong to compare Neo-Malthusianism to a wolf in sheep's clothing. presenting itself as helpful and necessary to those who are in the greatest need of help, while actually being a powerful ideological weapon of their oppressors. And it has been remarkably successful in that task, fooling many well-meaning people into supporting policies that are built to control and oppress them.